All right. Good job. Good job. All right. So today is the 13th, right? Yeah. So in
Mhm.
2 weeks, there's a conflict on the Zoom schedule with Stacy's account. They have something going on the same time. So if we keep the time, I might have to switch the ID and passcode. So once I figure that out, but I'll tell you next week. But just wanted to make sure you guys knew about that on the 27th. I saw a conflict on the schedule today. So one of the things we talked about last week, and I'm going to ask you quickly, maybe a success you had this week. So in a minute, be prepared for that. And then at the end, as we go through some of these things, I want you to be thinking about what you want this group to hold you accountable for this week. Okay, so I just want to put that thought in your head so that at the end we'll just go through quickly and come up with something. We talked about just creating balance in our business with always trying to manage personal business versus your team. And I'm going to cover it quick because I really feel like I want to talk more about sponsoring and working with new consultants because that's a big part of what we need at this point. So I'm just going to share a couple of tips and I can write these to you and send them to you. So don't worry about writing them down. But it's a topic we'll probably continue to talk about because I know it's something everybody struggles with and it's very normal and natural. So one thing that absolutely helped me, and you guys have probably heard me say this when we've done the coaching calls, is to have a work week schedule. And it's not work hours. I'm not talking about that, but something day by day that you focus on. So Monday might be your team day, Tuesday might be your prospecting day, Wednesday might be your, host coaching and just customer care, Thursday might be whatever. So when I found that I had a focus every day for something very specific, it doesn't mean that's the only thing that I did, but it made sure that I got some of those key things that I wanted to do done, and then I could do some of the other stuff. So it just became a focus for the day. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the only thing I did that day. And it definitely made a difference and helped me a lot. And you guys have heard me talk about your Sunday night plan, kind of sitting down at Sunday night or Monday morning, whatever works for you, to think about what your work week looks like. Certainly setting up maybe your hours at that point or blocks of time that you're going to actually work the business, depending on what's going on in your personal life and with your families. But the other thing is to also think about some key things that you need to get done that week that will make you feel productive at the end of the week. Because there's nothing worse than getting to Friday and feeling like I didn't get all the things done. I mean, we just talked about this yesterday, Kelly. So really putting something specific down in writing, the top, you're going to make a to-do list. I mean, we all do it. So whether there's 10 or 12 things on there that you really want to try to get done for the week, but more importantly, to highlight three of them that if I got these three things done this week, then it's going to feel like a really good week. And obviously, those are very specific to what your need is at the point in time of your week. So whether your sales are down, you're mid-month and you haven't hit your sales goal yet, maybe you don't have enough parties booked, maybe you haven't prospect much this past week, you still haven't sponsored somebody and it's mid-month. So it all depends on what's going on, but really think about what three key things would make a big difference in my business this week, and then the rest of the stuff just becomes gravy. So it helps you to just feel a little bit more productive when you get to a Friday and you got those three key things done. You've probably heard me say this as well: never work alone. And it's hard. It's not an easy thing to say, because when you're setting up your coaching calls, your prospecting calls, doing your parties, whatever the case might be, when you can invite someone along to be on a three-way with you, maybe Friday morning is going to be your prospecting time. So ask one of your team members, can you get on a few calls with me? Let your prospect know you've got one of your consultants on that's just to shadow you. But so it's kind of a pain in the neck, I'll be honest with you, because you have to think about the time slot and then invite someone, think about somebody that you think you could work alongside. But it makes your job easier because then I don't have to sit and role play with somebody or talk about what I do when I make a prospecting call or when I make a booking call or when I do a hostess coaching call. If I've got someone there that's listening to exactly what I'm doing, she's learning and I'm doing my job. So I don't know if we were talking about this with somebody, whether you, Kelly, or not, but even at your parties, when you bring a consultant along, if you've got someone that's close enough to you, it makes you cross your T's and dot your I's. Those things that we coach everybody to do, we get extremely lazy, especially for those of you that have been in the business a long time. And some of those things that you should do, we just don't do anymore. So it just really helps you to get focused back on the basics and doing some of the things that we know are really key because you've got someone there watching you. So the other thing is just making sure, I know there's some shifts going on with TS Central and my HQ, but make sure you know, is there any new training content being added at all? Are things changing at all or not?
To be honest, I'm not even up to where all the trainings are because there were so many that came over, right? I'm just gonna be real.
Okay.
If I watched all of them, I would not do my work.
Oh yeah, there's no way you can watch them all.
So,
All I'm
right.
suggesting is being aware of what is there. So you don't have to watch everything, but little by little, if you can, every so often. I mean, it doesn't hurt any of us to listen to something on sponsoring, even if we know we're good at it and we know what to do. Just listening to a training again sometimes can just make you think about something you're just not doing anymore. So the only reason I bring that up is in talking about working with new consultants, it's a lot of work and I recognize that. So if you want to try to streamline that time with new people to figure out who are those candidates that are going to level up in time, you've got to streamline some of the things that you do with them. And the only way, there's numerous ways, but one of the ways that you can do that, I think I don't, Cal, if we were talking about it again, just because our call was recent, it's coming to mind, but your job is really to create vision for people and to give them some inspiration and potential and possibility. It's really not to cover the rote stuff that goes on in my HQ. And booking a party may be very important, but the skill set of that is something that develops over time. And if they're relying completely on you for every single thing they need to be successful here, you're going to be worn out. You know that. So just knowing the resources that are available on my HQ and TS Central, in addition to all of the amazing trainers that are out in this industry. So if you've got some favorites, you've got a couple books maybe that you've read or favorite trainers that you like listening to, podcasts that you really enjoy, make yourself a resource list and encourage those new people, especially new ones, because that's where your greener grass is at this point, is to share that with them in the beginning. So it instills the fact that they've got some responsibility on their own to really research and develop their skills that are needed, and you create the vision and help them create their journey. So it just removes some of the day-to-day stuff that they need to learn, we know is really important, but you shouldn't feel the responsibility of having to do all of that. They've got to take some of that responsibility, but you can direct them to the resources and get them used to just becoming independent of you. So, okay, if any of that helps at all. So, Faye, I don't know if you've had enough experience with it yet, but we talked about the binder system. Do you feel like that's making a difference for you and helping you at this point? I know when we talked about it last week, it was still only a few days into it, but is there something you could share about it at all?
Yeah, so I talked to Connie about I do have my planner and I have my to-do list, but I was having a hiccup with following up with people who say, reach back to me, in January or something like that. And I happen to be using the planner that we got for the first time, and it ends in December. So I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to remember to check back on these people in January? So Connie shared with me this binder idea, and it's just very simple. So I got the binder, so Connie gets to see it now. So I have all the months here. And then, as you can see, January, very simple. I already have it on here. January 2024, contact Brenda to reschedule her Facebook party. Something very simple. So right now, being September, what I started doing is on Sunday night, I will do it for the week, and I will do personal goals, personal sales, personal sponsoring, and then team, which probably should be more, but that's what we're talking about, balance and everything. So I have that as my goals. It is more than 12, but at least as an idea, like to include personal stuff too, like working out, like Kelly always watching me working out. So I skipped yesterday, by the way. Anyways, I kept that. And then for today is the 13th. I actually took it out because I'm a little bit frugal. So this is my 11 Oh, today's the 13th, huh? So
Today's
this
the
is my
13th, yeah.
11th, and I just turn it around. So this way I'm not using one sheet, you know? And here I have my to-do for the day. So really, like Connie's saying, breaking down to, small goals and not getting overwhelmed. So I've started doing this now for a week.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it incorporates so much because I still have my planner, but my planner is more like for my parties, I would say.
Jen. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jen. So my planner is more for the parties, and this binder is more like a long term, but like just everything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But especially for those like, because I can go on my Facebook Messenger and be like, okay, January, what people said in January, but there's going to be so much. If I have written down, in a spring, I can go back, okay, contact this person in, March or whatever. So that's what I've been doing.
Well, good. So just to explain, she's got the binder. You have the tabs that you buy at Office Supply January through December. And then there's also the 1 to 31. So the monthly, like you said, if you've got someone that, wants to have you follow up in January, she's going to the January page, and I just put ruled school paper in there. That's
Yeah.
all I did.
That's what
So then you would write that note like she did. So when you're working within the current month, then you're in the day by day stuff. So you're setting your goal on that. But then also if somebody tells me to call them in 2 weeks, I go out to the 27th and I would put a note on that piece of paper to say, follow up with Jen for whatever. So it is a paper system, and maybe that doesn't work for some people, but it just helped me feel so much better about following up and keeping track of the ones that were for future follow-ups, like you said. So, and it's not going to be like your customer care stuff, but anything that's about booking or business opportunity that they're putting you off for whatever period of time, it's a good way to just keep track of them in one place. And I would take that binder with me when I was, if I was going to pick up the kids from high school and I'm sitting in the parking lot for 30 or 35 minutes, I could just pull that binder up and look at that day, or even the next day if I want to get ahead of myself and make some follow-up calls. So anyway,
even
thank
for
you for
team
sharing that.
members too,
Well,
sometimes
exactly,
how some people
exactly.
say, I'm having a surgery,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of like say, oh, okay, I'll get back, check back on you next
Mm-hmm.
week. And then
Right.
it's like you totally forgot. So you can now put it on the dates. And I don't know if
Mhm.
Jen saw, but yeah, just so the tabs here. And
January
then for
through December.
September, like what she was saying, I do have a page in every day, a blank one.
Yep. Yep. So at the beginning of each month, you either replace your pages if you've got a lot of notes on them, or you can just do a line and just continue with the new month on that page. So it's a pretty easy system, and she just needed something to kind of help her keep track of some of the stuff. So if that helps at all. All right. So
Connie, do you mean that like when you said draw a line, do you mean like for the following year, or do you mean
no, it would be for the
October?
following month. So if I have the 1 through 30 for September as an example, and I've made some notes on the 13th, I a lot of times wouldn't use the entire piece of paper. So I used to just go through at the beginning of the month and rip out all the pieces of paper and put fresh ones in. And I'm like, I could just X out what I did already on September 13th. When I get to October 13th, I can just use that same piece of paper because if I don't have a bunch of notes on there.
Okay.
So it just saves paper is all, so you can decide how you want to do that any way you want.
Yeah. And are
But
you labeling, like Faye, are you labeling at the beginning of the week, like you said, like on Sunday when you go into it?
All I'm doing is just like I put September 11th, so that I'm working Monday through Friday, even though we work on weekends, but I just put on top September 11th through the 15th. So then Sunday night or Monday morning, the latest, I will just dump all my goals into do, for that week. And yes. And then, yeah, I just pretty much, instead of changing all these tabs, all I'm going to do is just move move October to the front.
Mhm, exactly. That's what I used to
do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just get to October, move it to the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. So if that helps at all. I did hear an interesting thing on a podcast today that was just as simple. It has nothing to do with what we just talked about, but it is kind of fun from a follow-up standpoint and from a new consultant training, since that's what we're going to jump into next. was what she called a cake formula. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. It was Becky Launder. She had somebody on there. I don't know. But it was kind of an easy thing to train because it was compliment is the C, ask, then compliment again, and then always end with a question. So it was actually CACE instead of CAKE, but it's an easy, I just thought it was a really easy training thing you could use when people say they don't know what to say. So I call up Faye and say, oh my gosh, Faye, you were so interactive on our party last week. I really appreciate all the fun things that you shared. You know, that's the compliment. You know, I don't know if you ever thought about doing something like I do, well, I can't even say it, like doing what I do. But curious if you'd ever be interested. And then just say, you know, your energy is so great. I think you'd be good at this. Would you be open to having a conversation about it? So it to me, it just seemed like an easy little formula to if you need one. All right. So
What's the E on that?
say it again. The
What
E
was the
was,
E?
oh, it isn't an E because it's, end with a question. That's what it is. Yeah, end with a question. So it's a good reminder to especially new people. Many times, as you know, they don't ask the question, first of all. So the ask is in there. But the other thing is to end with a question with whether they want to follow up or would they be interested in getting together, or if it's not a good time, can I call you in September? I mean, we know asking that question at the end is critical because then you don't have this situation where you're calling people and you're feeling uncomfortable because you've already said, I'm going to call you in 2 weeks. I'm going to call you in September. I'm going to call you after the first of the year, whatever it may be. Or can I should say, not saying it specifically, but it gives you that permission when they say, sure, you know, then you've got that permission to do that return call. So anyway, okay. You look like you have something on your mind, Jen. No, okay. Just looked like you were getting ready. All right. So
Just
we were
listening.
gonna, okay, good. We're gonna talk about some of you have had some good sponsoring. Now, Jen, you need to share yours. Because I said in the beginning we were going to share a success. So we'll take that moment to do that now.
Okay, so I have sponsored 5 and I have 2 more joining today, I think. And I don't know, I might hit like 15 by the end of the month the way it's going. So I don't know why it's going that way, but it just is.
Don't say that.
Okay.
There's a reason.
There is
What
a reason.
What is
Yeah.
it? What is it? There's got to be something that you're doing differently. You're focusing on. What are you doing?
So the only thing that I have done specifically for the sponsoring was I made one post in my VIP group on September 1st. And that was it. And then I was talking to some of my goal buddies that are from the Platinum Elite Brenda Stir group because I said, I don't know what's happening right now. Like, I'm just sponsoring. And they're like, well, we're in your group. You're attracting people, duh. And I was like, okay. I said, can you tell me more about that? Because I'm not really sure like what I'm doing. And they're like, well, you just keep sharing the value. Like you always share the value. So then when you posted something about joining, it wasn't like I always post like, hey, join my team. And I didn't even post really join my team. I just made a post about there was this amazing special and, you know, I just wanted to share it. And if anybody had any questions, message me. So I guess I've just been attracting them with my posts. And
so when you're saying that they say you're sharing value, that's stuff that you're doing all the time in general.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had one of Brenda Stir's people, Kelsey, one of her like employees, if you will, she came in and audited my VIP group as a part of my like monthly subscription. We can do those kinds of things. And so she came in and told me basically like what I was doing well and what I could improve on. And so then I took that and I've been working on that for like probably the last 2 months to make sure that I'm hitting all of those like 3 P's, she calls them, like personality and, you know, so I've been really working on that and not just posting like posting like memes, but also posting like my meals and also sharing like about my family and, you know what I mean? So just making sure that I'm touching base on all of those things. And I thought my reach wasn't really good. And she said that my reach is actually amazing for percentage wise. So like sometimes I'll have like, so when I posted this join post, I have 35 comments. And I said, I feel like that's not a lot. And she's like,
Mm.
yes, it is. She's like, because I have 800 people in my group. So I'm like, well, that's not
Right, so
even
you're
really
thinking-
like 10%, you know? And she's like, yeah, like 3% to 4% is what you average. So
Mhm.
I was thinking up here where really it's a little lower. And so my bar was set so high that I was never achieving that. So I thought I was doing something wrong,
Mhm.
which I wasn't.
So would you remember something specific that she said you were doing well, and then something she thought you should improve on or that was weaker?
Yeah, so I didn't share a lot of personality posts.
Okay.
And that was one thing that like I didn't actually think people cared about my kind of stuff, you know? So like when I was for instance, obviously I just had a grandbaby. So I posted a picture of Brinley in my group and said, and she was sleeping, and I said, Brinley is dreaming of brown sugar caramel pound cake and garlic. What do you think? And I had like this little, you know, thing, and I got like 15 orders. So it
Jeez.
was like that, but that was kind of a personality post, like introducing my
Right.
granddaughter, but saying how like I'm already introducing her to Tastefully Simple because I'm giving it to her mommy and she's nursing, you know. So like I was kind of being funny about it. And then they just said that I needed to do more of those things, like bring my
Okay.
kids into it, bring my husband into it, bring my personality, like my jokes. And
Mhm.
so that was one thing she said that I was missing, that I wasn't being relatable enough.
Okay.
So, you know, like if you always post like you're a dog lover, but maybe
Not
Faye
everybody
hates
is.
dogs, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's not going to reach her. So if I'm only always talking about dogs, she's going to check out of my group. So I needed
Mhm.
to start incorporating multiple avenues of things that I liked. Like we did this 2 truths and a lie, and it was like a game. And so they, in my VIP group, they had to figure out which one. And everybody, I said that I was going to be a grandma, and nobody believed me. So it was kind of funny. And they're like, you know, like it was just very, very interesting what people believed. So
Mhm.
like adding more personality to my group is what I needed. And that gets engagement.
What are the other
Absolutely.
P's? Do you remember?
Yes.
The other P's. It's one that Brenda Stir trains on, and
Yes.
if I look back
It's,
through my notes, I could pick it out.
yeah,
Purpose? Isn't purpose
it's
one of them?
purpose. Yeah, purpose, personality, and oh my gosh, I always forget the third one. I could find it real quick.
Tell me
I'll tell you
later.
later.
I'm so curious. I'm like,
I'll tell you later.
cool.
I'll find it before we get off.
Okay. All right. That's good. Thank you for looking that up. So in any case, with the number of people, how's everybody, what other success thing would you want to share? Janine, how about you? So we'll come back to that.
I'm a little late to the party because I was on kind of vacationing last week, so I'm a little late. We have our first call tomorrow, I know, but I would say a victory for me though while I was at the trailer was I spent some time and it was just following up with a bunch of potential team members, former team members, just putting messages out to them. And I've got a couple that will probably do a party. I've got to follow up with them next week. So I have to say, I am going to be implementing that binder idea again. So thanks, Faye, for showing that because that's something I did do years ago.
Really? That's good.
Uh,
Okay, awesome.
I'm like, oh God. So that will be on my list for this week, to get that back again because, I'm going on, January's gonna be 20 years and it's like, okay. And COVID got in the middle. So Janine's trying to find her way back a little bit to what worked before COVID because I'm in my own little head block, maybe if that's what the right word is. So
Very possible.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I need to go back to what was working before. So
Good.
Janine's going back to the binder.
Cool. All right. Faye, what about you? Anything this week? And you can pass. Doesn't
I
be.
don't know. Well, the binder definitely it's helped. I did get one person to join, and I'm all about quality. If I have to, like, I don't. It's not I don't prejudge, but I really have some high standards. So, but the thing is this person, she seems to be very excited. We're doing her luncheon party already, but I just haven't looked much into the Fast Start program yet, the new one. And I still don't know how I feel about it, because I feel like, she's going on vacation, so we're taking it slow, otherwise I'll be like, no, you need to get everything, like you need to have a party set up, you have to do this. So it's like, I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I mean,
Probably,
what's
I
that?
think it's an issue to think about and to consider how you want to attack it, if that's the word,
Right.
because there isn't urgency anymore. So
Yep.
as much as I like the change, and I'm glad they did it,
Mhm.
now you don't have that 2-week deadline that pushes them to get something done. And so what's going to do that instead? I'm going to ask you guys the question first, and then I'll tell you what I think. But what's going to do that instead to get them off the dime, to really get them out there and obviously booking a party or doing whatever it is they need to do? What do
So,
you think that is?
I like what we talked about it last week, that you said not to focus on fast starts. So I guess that's helped, because
Right.
now I'm telling her more about the commission. Like, I know you're going on vacation, but we have your luncheon party going right now. You can, by the 15th, you could already get paid, like,
There
so
you go.
that has been a good shift. Um, but I know that the fast start out, I kind of use it as your carrot, as a, just to
Mhm.
kind of keep going, but I'm not
Well,
sure.
you've hit it. I mean, it's income. So Jen, do you have
Yeah.
something to share about that?
Yeah, so I think Connie, you and I talked about it a little bit, but I've been really struggling the same with Faye. And so the last couple of weeks, obviously I had some downtime and stuff, and I was really trying to figure out the best way, because I knew that I was going to be sponsoring some of these people. And I decided that I'm going to do the fast start the exact same way that we have been doing it. So when I talk to when I talk to my people about the fast start, one, I will say this, the pressure is off of me. Like when we would have to juggle, like if we did sponsor quite a bit of people at one time, even 2 or 3, like that's overwhelming to me to try to get them all and remember all their dates, and like I would miss things and whatever. So I kind of sat down and said, okay, this is how I'm going to make it look. I'm going to make it look just like the old fast start, and I'm going to break it down for them. Yes, you have this whole 10-week thing, but this is the easiest way that I have found that I can help you be successful. And that's how I've been putting it to them. And they're all working towards their fast start because they want to get those bonuses. And no one has said, which I was surprised, no one has said yet, well, what if I miss the 2-week deadline? Because I just gave them 2-week deadlines, just like I
Mhm.
would if it was fast start, but now I don't actually have to remember the date. And so like the
Mhm.
one girl, she messaged me last night and she's like, I just hit my 250 in the first 2 weeks. And I was like, I know, that's so awesome. Like, it doesn't really matter, but it does matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we're still have to build the consistency. So I just thought changing the way that I'm presenting it is still the same as what we presented it before, but it was my mind, because I know I told Connie, like, there's no urgency, there's no reason for them to do it, but I need to give them a reason. I feel like, as their sponsor, that's my job, is to keep the fire, keep the energy, help them, because they're new, they don't know. So and I'm not lying to them, you know what I mean? We still have these 10 weeks to do these things, but I just broke it down into little chunks so that they can be successful. And so far
So,
they are listening.
yeah,
It,
so I don't disagree with that. I think it's a good idea. And you're not telling them if they miss the 2 weeks, they're not getting the bonus. So you're right.
correct.
You're not lying to them. I still feel like there's Lisa, getting in on when do you want to start earning money is a big part of it. And you kind of alluded to that, Faye, because it's what's going to get them off the dime is they've got cash in hand. And the thing I worry about the 250 every 2 weeks is, as we talked about last week, they're not going to earn a lot. I mean, they're only going to earn $100 if they hit, depending on when the cycle hits and all of that. Welcome, Lisa. So it's important for them to tell you like how important it is to them to have cash in hand. Like, how quickly do you want to, or when do you want to start earning money? And if it's something that you're looking to earn money right away, then let's get the schedule going. I mean, that's really what happens. And it's fine to do what you're doing. I think it's completely good. But just make sure that you're using your career plan and talking to them about when they want to earn and what they want to earn, because that part of it is very key. And I think when people can see very easily the progression of the career plan with just the personal sales commission from 500 to 3,000 that we talked about last week, that's some really hefty numbers and shifts from $100 to $1,200 that I can easily say, Janine, where do you see yourself in this scale? I mean, where does your income need to, fall? And then what are you going to do with it? How are you going to, maybe you're going to tell me you're going to buy a piece of furniture, or you have some dance classes to cover, or pay a car payment or whatever. And how are you going to feel when you're able to do that? I mean, it's just such a great place to put people in, to get their heads in that place where this is where I want to be. So if we don't paint that picture for them in the beginning, as both of you have said, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what's possible. They don't know to think that someone can come in here and make $1,200 a month, most people probably are not expecting that. So, and you've got to wait for them to do that. So I want you to think about, when we talk about leadership development, which is a big part of what you guys need to create intention and focus around for numerous reasons. And knowing that TS does not have any rank or level requirements for people below you, all you worry about is team value. But the greatest way for you to build that, as we've talked about before, is with new people and with developing leaders. Because when you start developing leaders, they're creating some of that volume inertia that you need. You're not trying to do it all within your personal group. So it starts to take some of the little pressure off you when you've got someone that's working for 1,000 and 2,000 and 5,000 team volume. Copper's not going to change your guys' lives. I mean, you guys know that. But once you get them in that direction and then they start leveling up from there, when you can count on someone to bring in the amount of team volume that's necessary to get you to the diamond level, and then they start their thing, it makes a big, big difference. So going back to looking at your first liners, which of course is your biggest concern and probably your largest focus. And when we talk about balance, you have to be thinking about where you're spending your time and who you're spending your time on. Because if you're spending a lot of time with someone that isn't producing, or that's at a third line, and I'm not suggesting don't work with second and third liners at all, but you have to measure how much time that is that you're spending there, because your first line, your team growth bonus is based on that. And more than likely your promotions are going to come out of that. So it is your area of concern for the most part, is that first line group. But just think of an example. You've got a consultant that's been around for a couple of years. They've never reached copper in the time. Maybe there's an excuse, there's a reason, there's something out there that caused them not to. They got derailed. I mean, Lisa, you were talking about that one that didn't make copper. She didn't get recognized as copper because she was a consultant 10 years ago. And so it just kind of got her. But we have to get people past some of that petty stuff that they get themselves so focused on and derails them so quickly, because not being recognized as a copper, big shit. I mean, seriously, it's not a big deal at all. Let's go for bronze. Let's think about that. Then you're going to get recognized. Don't let them wallow in a pity party about something like that they just can't change. So you try over and over with some of these people to get them to book parties and to engage on your Facebook pages and all of that. Now you look at a brand new consultant that you are taking kind of a different approach with, and you're sharing the career plan and the ability for them to earn income at the 500 level versus the 3,000 level. And you're really talking about whether it's the charcuterie board idea, Kelly, that you like, I mean, whatever it may be, but I'm painting this vision of potential and possibility for this person. Who do you think is going to bring the greatest amount of change to your team and to your volume between those two examples? So we spend a lot of time working with people that just have not shown us that they've got the commitment level, and they've done this over and over year after year. And we still keep thinking there's hope. we can do it. We can get them to come around. You really like them. You like working with them. They're great. They come to the meetings all the time, but they're just not producing. So it's a hard thing as a leader to step back from someone and let them go. But if you don't do some of that with some of these people that probably need to let go, it doesn't allow room for you to work with the people that do want to grow. We don't even find out who they are because we don't have enough time to spend and have all those coaching sessions with them or those question sessions to find out what they really want and why. That part that you do in the very beginning to talk about these or talk with these new consultants is critical. It is one of the most important things, and it may take you 45 minutes to dig in, but it's going to be 45 minutes well spent, in my opinion. And you can't spend that kind of time with new people when you're so caught up in all the other stuff that's probably not getting you anywhere. So, and I think it's true of all the different things that you do, whether it's newsletters, whether it's your post to your team pages, whether it's, whatever it is you do, evaluate some of those things and say, is this producing anything? Is it doing anything for me? If not, stop it. Don't do it anymore. We tend to get into habits of doing some of this stuff and it's not paying off. We've got to shift our focus. So, okay. I would like to know what each of you, because we're at like almost 40 minutes right now. So I want to know for each of you, what do you want or what do you need to be kept accountable for this week? What is something very specific that you need to work on to move your business forward, wherever it may be, from a sponsoring standpoint, leadership side, whatever it is that you want to be held accountable for in this group? So I want to ask each of you. Anybody ready to just jump in? And Lisa, I gave them a warning beforehand at the beginning. You didn't get that warning, so I'll wait on you, okay? So who has something in mind that they want to be held accountable for this week?
I'll go. I just need to be I need to have at least a few conversations this week to sponsor,
So let me ask that. You want to do prospecting calls? I call it prospecting. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
All right. So are you willing to set some time aside? Because we've talked about this before, where you've got some specific hours on your calendar this week that you're going to make some phone calls.
Yeah, I have it for tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's what my plan is. Today, my plan is to go back through my list of people that I wanted to contact and make sure that I'm ready to, who are these people? Who can I add to that list?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
On the prospecting.
I'll give you one little tip, and whether you've ever heard this before or not, but whenever I was going to make prospecting calls, the thing I did before that would be making some customer care calls, and just 2 or 3. Follow up with some customers, ask them how the product's working out for them, because what customer care calls do in most cases is they bring a little bit of a high, because most people are very complimentary. They love it. They've tried it. They love the recipe you shared, whatever the case might be. It kind of gets your mind in a very positive place. So I used to always do customer care calls, just 2 or 3 before I started doing prospecting calls. And it really does shift your mindset a little bit. So if that helps at all. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Right.
great. Thank you.
Okay. Absolutely. Okay. Anybody else?
Mine was the same as Callie. So
Okay. So same thing with you. Are you setting some specific time aside in your calendar to do those?
nope.
So I'm going to encourage you to do that. Okay.
Because I always go to my host first, right? And I have bazillion parties going on. So what
Right.
I do,
So
it's like on the fly, right? When I see that, okay, this is a time to ask them. This is not a good time. So I'm kind of going with the whole feeling for when is a good time to ask my host. So, but I need to do beyond that.
yeah. Well, so I mean, the point there is you've got some good parties. Your schedule is in a good place, so it allows you that luxury. But I would still encourage you to, maybe plan on just 2 or 3 people a day that are outside of that immediate group of hosts that you're working with right now, to just jump into your customer list and pull out some people that maybe you've thought about before that just have never hit the switch. So,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I have on my list, like 3 a day. But
Yeah,
I
good.
feel like to
That's good.
really be more objective to set a time, like you said.
Got it. All right. Anybody else?
We can do this, Faye. We got this.
There you go. Hold each other accountable this week while we're not talking. All right, Janine.
First of all, that binder,
Mhm.
getting back to the binder, I've got, 5 events this week and I want to get 4 bookings for parties from them. But then
For
also,
September or when? For when?
by the end of October,
Okay, so 4 bookings between now and the end of October. Okay,
right? And then I want to, get 5, people that I can contact about the business to have the sponsoring conversations with.
okay. All right. Jen, you want to go next?
Sure. I would like more information about the binder since I missed the first few minutes.
Mhm.
So I'll probably message you, Faye. I need to get some more parties on my calendar. I probably need to at least add 8 to 10 by the end
For
of
September?
for the rest of this month and some in October.
Okay,
I've gotten a ton of events lined up, but I hate this time of year because it's so expensive that I'm like shelling out all the cash for all the events and writing checks. And I'm like, all right, I need some parties to kind of recoup that so I can also order inventory. And so it's good to have events. I like that we're
It
back in
is.
person, but and then I would also like to get by the end of the month 3 more TSTUs.
Okay. That's a good goal. Okay, Lisa, you're on, hon.
Thanks. Based on what we talked about yesterday with, the gal that was upset about, not being recognized for copper. I have on my calendar for this afternoon to touch base with her and kind of set a new goal for her. Just kind of walk side by side and kind of get her over that hurdle, you know.
Mhm. Good.
And I also want to add 2 more parties to my calendar yet this month. I have 6. My goal is always 8, so I want to add 2 more parties this month.
Okay. What about from a sponsoring standpoint?
Well, I've sponsored 4 this month already,
So you're good.
which
You're
is
good.
very not like me, let me tell you. And I have one more that
Mhm.
says she's signing yet this month. So, with those newbies, like you suggested yesterday, I actually set a goal for them to have X, Y, and Z done by tonight. And
Good.
they're all like, thank you for setting a goal. They're all like, we need that. So they actually thanked me for that. So
That's good. That's
yeah.
good. Because yesterday she told me she's got some people that she's getting them to set up ProPay in their websites and they're not doing it. She follows up with them and they're like, well, I haven't gotten to that yet. So I said, you need to be specific. Like you need to get your ProPay and your website set up by tomorrow at noon. So I'm glad that helped. That's good.
Yep, they did. It did.
People need that little push. They need to be told what to do. It's like your kids, it's no different. So, all right, guys, I think we're done for today. Trying to keep, we went 45, so I apologize, but it's so hard to keep it in this 35 to 40 minutes. It's so difficult. So, anything else before we say goodbye? Okay, and if we keep it at the 12:30 time, does that work? Because Jen's schedule every week is gonna be a conflict. So if 12:30 works with everybody, that's awesome. Okay, is that good? All
Thank
right.
you guys. I hate
bet.
having a part-time job, but I love my part-time job.
Well, there you go. It's okay. It's okay.
you.
It's okay. So, all right. Have a great week. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
Bye. Good luck.
Bye.